Hey beautiful booktubers, it has been a while, so I'm here today with a bit of a mashup video. I will put the timings of each section down below, so if you just want to view one particular section, you can just skip to that part. So the first up is a bit of a life update. I haven't updated since I've been on holiday, just quite a lot has gone on since then. So I went on holiday to France, to a tiny village called Poligny, which is near the forest of Fontainebleau. I actually went with my partner and a few friends. They all went to climb, we all boulder. I wasn't feeling particularly comfortable to boulder outside, so I took it as an opportunity to just switch off, relax and do whatever the hell I wanted. So my week consisted of relaxing and doing yoga, going for a jog and drawing and reading a hell of a lot. That said, I don't feel like I got through too many books because I ended up reading Discovery of Witches, which is quite a lot of pages. But I'll put a short video here so you can see the gîte that we stayed in. It is very pretty, it was in a very picturesque area and it was just absolutely wonderful. We went walking through the forest. If I can find them, I'll put some pictures up of the forest, and that inspired me a lot to do a lot of drawing and artwork while I was there. It was just an absolutely wonderful holiday, really relaxing, and I got to switch off. Sadly, on the day that we got back from our holiday, we arrived home to find one of our ferrets was very poorly. We had had a house sitter looking after them, but they hadn't noticed how sick she was. So sadly, we had to rush her to the vets as soon as we got home, but they couldn't save her and she passed away at the vets. So that was really upsetting. Really miss her, and this is Chloe. I'll put a little picture of her there. She was about, we don't know how old she was because she was a rescue, but we think she was about 5 or 6, and the vet seems to think it was an aggressive cancer that seemed to affect her whilst we were away, but there was apparently nothing that we could have done. So DIP little Chloe, I'm going to miss her quite a lot. For those that don't know, DIP is Duke in peace, and Duke is the noise that ferrets make when they're excited. I'm just trying to concentrate on the fact that she had a good life, and I've got all my other ferrets that I need to look after as well while we mourn her loss, but she's been buried in the garden next to 2 of my other older ferrets that died a few years ago. So since then I've been ill with the flu. it's been a bit of a crappy time. I've still got a bit of a cold, but I'm starting to get better now. But I've just been trying to concentrate on spending time with the animals and on doing my art, which I know I keep putting in little bits, but a bit later on I'll show you the sketchbook that I've just completed that includes all my Inktober and Drawloween stuff. But for now, I will do a wrap up. Now, looking at the dates on my Goodreads, it looks like I haven't wrapped up any books since mid-October. So we'll go through, and we have Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. It took me quite a while, like I said, to read it. I think it's 690 pages. Even though I was reading it on holiday and I was reading a lot, it still seemed to take me a long time. I had very mixed feelings about this book. I loved the beginning. I loved the fact that there was vampires, and for those that don't know, it is the story of, God, what is her name? Dr. Bishop. She is the last in a long line of very famous, very powerful witches. She is also a scholar who is an academic in a university somewhere down south. And basically something happens and she awakens the power in this book, but she puts it back, and then all of a sudden these supernatural creatures start basically stalking her and turning up at her work because they all want this manuscript or book. Like I said, when it first started, I was really gripped. I absolutely loved it. I couldn't wait to see what was happening. Something was happening with her and powers were starting to manifest even. But then during the middle I just lost it a bit, which is probably also why it took me so long. It all felt a bit insta-lovey because this vampire turns up. I don't think this is too spoilery. But yeah, this vampire dude turns up and he's obsessed with her and he won't leave her alone, and he's a bit aggressive with her. It was almost a bit Twilighty in how he wouldn't let her go anywhere or do anything, and wanted to keep her safe and had people follow her and stuff to make sure she was safe. But then in the last bit of the book it did pick up again, and it piqued my interest as everything got more entangled and the stories got a bit more complicated, and I didn't really know what was going on. We got a bit of backstory as well, so it had its ups and downs, but overall I did enjoy it, and I really like Deborah Harkness's writing. But because of the middle bit, I did just give that 3 out of 5 stars. Oh, do you guys want to see the Christmas cactus I got? I'll grab it. I've got into the habit of buying a plant every time I go to the supermarket, and we've got this Christmas cactus that's just started flowering. Look how beautiful it is. It's so pretty. Anyway. So, the next one, that was actually read as part of the spooky reading challenge because it involved supernatural creatures. The next one involved a haunting. This I read 5 Ghosts by Frank J. Barbier and Chris Mooniam. This is the story of a guy who gets possessed by... God, it's so long since I've read it now and so much has gone on I can't even bloody remember. The Haunting of Fabian Gray. He gets... God, why can't I think of the word? He gets possessed by supernatural literary monsters, so like Sherlock Holmes, Dracula, other assorted things, and they help him get out of binds. It sounds really cheesy, but it's actually really interesting. I probably haven't described this very well, but yeah, there's monsters and things in it, and it's just a really fun read. I enjoyed it. I read that in an afternoon. And sorry if I'm waggling things out a bit too much, don't mind apologising. Next was Widdershins Volume 2, No Rest for the Wicked. I got this at a Comic-Con I went to when I went to I went to some Star Wars lectures up in Bradford, and there was also a Comic-Con on the same day, and the person who makes these was actually there, so I got to speak to her, and I think she signed it got it signed by the author. This is I like how it's like a little thin book, but 2 guys during Victorian times who are down on the luck. One of them can see, what is it they can see? It's like their auras, or they can see the other person's feelings, so they make their living basically wheeling and dealing and doing dodgy things, such as when they're playing poker, he can see that the other person is sad because they've got a shit hand, so that they can use that to win bets and stuff. But they get employed by this department who are investigating supernatural occurrences, so it just follows them through that. And again, this was a really enjoyable read, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, and I think I'm going to try and get some other copies if I can. Next, I haven't got it with me, but I'll put a picture here, which is volume 2 of Bitch Planet. This is a continuation of the story of a planet where the men of the earth put any women that don't behave the way they want them to. It's set in a future, and anybody that doesn't behave in line with these list of preferred behaviours ends up there. And it is all women, and they are starting to monetise that by making them go ahead and fight, and for, I think they televise it around the world for everybody to watch, but there's a few other stories that are going on. And I did enjoy the first one, but I think I enjoyed the second one even more. The characters are really diverse in it. You get to see what drives these people that are in there, and it was just really enjoyable from start to finish. If you're into graphic novels, really, it's got plenty of action, the dialogue's really good, the graphics are great, and like I said, it's nice and diverse. I haven't given that a rating in Goodreads, but I'll probably give that 3 out of 5. Sender Volume 1 by Jeff Lemire. This has been doing the rounds on Goodreads. I heard Sam over at Thoughts on Tones talking about it quite a lot, and this is about a little AI who is desperate to get home and find his old human companion. Unfortunately, everybody is scared of AI now. There was some sort of weird uprising, and these giant AI robots came down and started to try and murder everybody. So AIs are basically banned, and I think most of them have been destroyed, but this little boy's been found and he's just started his journey, and it's adorable. I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, Signal to Noise by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a supernatural story set in the 1980s. It is about a young girl in Mexico who, she's a bit of an outcast. Her and her 2 friends discover that if they play certain records, they can harness power and create spells to get them things that they want. There's love triangles, but it's not used in a cheesy kind of a way. There's so much 80s references, loads of music information, and it's about how people behave when they suddenly get power, and it flashes back between present day and the 80s. I just found it a really enjoyable trip through a really nostalgic time. The story was really strong, I really enjoyed the writing, and the characters were really good as well. None of them were completely likeable, which I also quite liked. They all had their flaws, and I just really enjoyed it, and I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, and oh my god, I loved this book. It's been on my shelf for about a year, and I'm so glad I read it. It tells the story of a future where there is not enough food. 99% of people live in poverty. A lot of people live in these caravans that are stacked on top of each other so that they can fit more people in the areas. And to escape, everyone accesses this virtual reality open source world called Oasis. Now, the creator of Oasis has recently passed away, and part of him passing away has meant that he has started a treasure hunt competition where people have to follow the clues, get the 3 keys, and the person that gets the 3 keys wins the company and ultimate control and all the billions of dollars. Now, the person that created Oasis was obsessed with the 1980s, so there was a lot of references to films, music, video games. It is just fantastic. It's written in a way where you don't really notice the time going. I felt like time was just gone. I could have read and read and read that book without needing to stop. And the characters were just fantastic. Nobody had met each other in real life, so nobody really knew what anybody else looks like, because your avatar can basically look like anything. People would get famous online for certain things, and there's a big corporation that is employing people purely to try and win this key, because this company wants to take control of the Oasis and monetize everything and put adverts on everything and basically ruin it for all the poor people. So I just really loved this. It is a future that you could maybe see happening, and I just loved the game element that was put in there, as well as the class war kind of thing that went on. I'm not going to stop gushing about it now because all I can think of to keep saying is it was so good, it was so good. So I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. Of course I did. So that is my wrap up. Where am I? I'm currently reading Pig Island by Mo Hader. I am also really enjoying this one so far. I am only on page 140, but this is about a guy that debunks people, basically fake faith healers and people like that, and it's said that there's a devil man out on this island where a load of religious nuts in a cult live, and he's gone over there to try and debunk it, but there's also something to do with the history of one of the people over there that links up with this guy. So yeah, it's quite a good read so far. Again, this is written quite easily. I'm not finding it difficult at all to keep going with. But yeah, we'll see how I get on with that. Thanks so much for bearing with me with my first video back. I will be back soon with another video. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe. Please leave comments down below. I love to chat and talk to you all, so let me know what you're reading or what you thought of my video, and I will be back soon. Big hugs. Bye!